Okay, so let's dive in. For years, I think we've all talked about AI as, a tool, something we use to solve a problem.
Mm,
But today, we're moving past that. We're doing a deep dive into how recommendation algorithms is the engines that quietly run Spotify, Netflix, LinkedIn,
everything.
everything, how they're fundamentally reshaping who we are, our identities, our experiences, and, even our definitions of freedom.
It's a huge shift, and we really need to stop seeing them as just software. They're no longer just in our experience. They're actively shaping it. They're gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers for what we hear, what jobs we see.
Exactly. The music on Spotify, the opportunities on LinkedIn, who we connect with on X, and this is the critical part, they're even influencing these incredibly intimate decisions, like who we try to love on Tinder.
That last point is where it just becomes so real, so
Yeah.
immediate. We were looking at this long-running U.S. study about how couples meet.
Yeah, that study is fascinating.
Back in 1990, almost nobody met online. It was, statistically, it was basically zero.
Zero algorithmic influence.
Right, and today,
Today, well, that percentage has shot up to over 60%.
60%.
Think about that, over 60%. That surpasses every other way people meet combined. Friends, family, work, bars,
Yeah.
all of it. A piece of tech designed to make choice easier is now the #1 factor in how we form relationships.
So we have to unpack this dilemma. This is really the core tension, isn't it? It's the choice between euphoria and freedom.
Mm.
We're going to look at 4 ways these recommenders redefine our lives through convenience, authenticity, freedom of choice, and the freedom to create a new you.
And the mission for you, our listener, is to really grasp the 2 paths these algorithms offer. One path is, well, it's euphoric. It reinforces who you already are, and it leads to this deep sense of contentment.
Yeah, and the other path.
The other is about freedom. It's challenging. It provokes you to become someone new. And what we're going to find is that a lot of the time you can't have both.
Let's start with that first path then. Euphoria. Convenience. We all get the basics, the everyday convenience. It filters the noise, makes it easier to find a song or a job. It helps.
But the real end game here is so much bigger than just being helpful. It's about anticipation.
Anticipation.
It's getting what we want before we even know we want it. The logical conclusion of all this is perfect convenience.
Can you give us a concrete example of what that actually looks like?
You can see little hints of it everywhere, but streaming is probably the most aggressive. So imagine you're on Netflix. The movie you were watching ends, credits start to roll, and then seamlessly, a trailer, or even the first few seconds of the next recommended film starts playing on a little split screen. There's no break.
The moment of decision is just gone.
It's gone. The question, so what should we watch now? It never even comes up.
Yeah.
The algorithm delivers the most satisfying answer before the inconvenience of having to ask or search or even think can happen.
It's like the convenience is so good that it becomes invisible.
It disappears. That's the perfect way to put it. That's the peak of satisfaction in this model. And the consequence of that is really radical.
Which is?
If the recommender is perfect, the very act of choosing for yourself becomes redundant. The easiest way to get what you want is to make no choice at all.
But wait, that's a little scary, isn't it? That means freedom to choose literally becomes an inconvenience. Why would I bother searching if the AI has already handed me the optimal choice?
Precisely. Any choice you make yourself runs the risk of being worse,
Yeah.
inferior to what the algorithm picked. And that defeats the whole point. When satisfaction is guaranteed, choice becomes a burden.
And that takes us right to the next big question. If an algorithm is defining our satisfaction, what on earth does that do to our sense of self?
Exactly. That's the transition from perfect convenience to, to self-knowledge. How does this algorithmic world change our idea of authenticity?
Right.
We have to step back philosophically for a second in the classical sense. Think of someone like Heidegger, writing back in 1927. For him, authenticity meant finding your unique self, your one true purpose. And to do that, you had to go through these really difficult existential trials, like confronting your own mortality.
It was a struggle. It was this internal, messy human quest.
It was. Now contrast that with the algorithmic view.
Yeah.
Authenticity stops being so human and starts becoming, mathematical. The question becomes, can our true needs, our desires, our fears be assembled for us just by filtering data?
So can the algorithm build a picture of me that's actually truer than the one I could build for myself after years of trial and error? I mean, it sounds like science fiction.
It does, but there's a real kernel of truth to it. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, he said something fascinating about this. He talked about how tech companies take these scraps of data,
Hmm.
and this process creates an enduring digital profile and lets companies know you better than you may know yourself.
Know you better than you know yourself. Wow. I mean, if I'm feeling imposter syndrome at work, but the algorithm sees my performance data and pushes a promotion at me, maybe it's seeing a truer self that I can't.
That's the idea. It's the idea that recommenders could become these calculators for life choices. They could determine the partner you're most suited for, the career you're built for, and do it more reliably than your own gut feeling. That's the promise of digital authenticity.
So, on the one hand, perfect convenience can sort of numb our freedom. But if we swing the pendulum back, you're saying algorithms can also bring freedom to life.
In two really crucial ways, yes. Through choice and through creation. Let's start with choice freedom.
Okay.
The fascinating thing here is the paradox of choice. We all think freedom means having more options, but in reality, too many options just paralyzes us.
Right.
So choice freedom isn't just about having options. It's about being able to make a meaningful choice when the options are totally overwhelming.
This is like that Jorge Borges story, right? The Library of Babel.
The perfect analogy. The library has every possible book, every perfect song, every potential soulmate is in there somewhere. But because you have everything, finding the one you need is basically impossible. That overload leads to what psychologists call elective despair.
Which is what we all feel on a Friday night, scrolling through Netflix for an hour and then just giving up.
Exactly. And look at the real numbers. Spotify has 100 million songs. Tinder has 50 million users.
Mm-hmm.
Without a filter, the perfect match is in there mathematically,
Yeah.
but you'll never find it. It's just chaos.
So the recommender's job is to turn that chaos into something intentional.
That is the key. By filtering for us, they're not just helping us choose. They're turning a state of no choice, that frozen paralysis, into a situation where we can actually make a real, meaningful decision. They make choosing possible again.
And that brings us to creative freedom, which feels like the real game changer here. This isn't just about choosing what you already like.
No.
It's about opening up completely new horizons, the freedom to choose differently, the freedom to become someone new.
And this is the jump from stabilizing your identity to actively provoking a new one. It all starts by stepping outside that comfort zone the algorithm originally built for you.
Let's use those examples you brought up. The food one really made this clear for me.
Okay, so imagine a user whose whole profile says Italian food. They love pasta, they love pizza. A simple filter would just give them another great Italian place.
Right, the safe bet.
But for creative freedom, the system might suggest an Asian-Italian fusion restaurant, a little nudge. And that one unexpected recommendation might open up this whole new interest in Asian cuisine, creating a whole new set of possibilities.
Or the art example. You like traditional, representational art, and the engine throws you a curveball. A lecture on Picasso's Demoiselle d'Avignon?
Which is jarring.
Yeah.
But then that leads you to Cubism, to Georges Braque, and suddenly this whole world of modern art opens up that you never knew you could appreciate.
So how does this work technically? Because it feels like the opposite of what most algorithms do.
It is the opposite. The default setting for most commercial AIs is something called collaborative filtering.
And what's that, in simple terms?
It's basically mathematical groupthink. It says, people who liked movie A also liked movie B. You liked A, so you'll probably like B. It just recycles what's already popular within your group.
So it's designed to keep you stable.
It succeeds precisely by preventing creative freedom. The alternative, which is coming out of Curiosity Engine research, is antagonistic filtering.
Antagonistic, so it's designed to be provocative.
In a very smart way, yes. Uses the same data, but it intentionally looks for options that seem dissimilar to your tastes. It finds small, hidden overlaps between different user groups and passes these provocative recommendations across those divides. It's looking for resonance from a challenge, not comfort from the familiar.
And this brings us right to the heart of the dilemma. You have the collaborative path, the euphoric one, that gives you contentment and this stable digital authenticity.
And then you have the antagonistic path, the curiosity one, which generates interests that break from your past and give you the freedom to become someone else, a discontinuous identity.
That feels like a massive philosophical fork in the road.
It is. The first path assumes there's a true self out there that just needs to be found and optimized. The second path assumes there is no single true self, and the whole point is to discover ways of becoming someone else.
And this idea isn't totally new, right? You mentioned philosophers like David Hume.
Right? Hume saw the self as just a bundle of interests. or Deleuze and Guattari with their idea of identities that are always branching out, like roots. The difference is, now this isn't just philosophy, it's in the software we use every single day.
And incredibly, it's starting to show up in our legal frameworks. You mentioned the preliminary work on a right to discontinuity.
This is one of the most exciting things to watch. We've heard of the right to be forgotten, which is negative. It's the right to disappear.
To erase your data.
Exactly.
Mm.
But the right to discontinuity is positive. It starts with that forgetting, but its goal is to let you reemerge online with totally new preferences as a new collection of data.
So if I move to a new city, change careers, my entire worldview shifts. I should have the right to tell LinkedIn to stop showing me jobs based on who I was 2 years ago. The right to become a new person digitally.
Precisely. The right to reinvent yourself. And these huge questions, who are we? Who can we become? They're no longer just academic. They're choices being made for us and sometimes to us by AI.
That's the ultimate tension. We can have contentment by stabilizing one identity, or we can have the freedom to create a new one.
And the two paths are, at their core, exclusionary. It's the contentment of who you are at the cost of freedom, versus the freedom to become someone else at the cost of that easy, euphoric satisfaction.
So if the default setting on almost every platform today is collaborative, is euphoric, it raises a really important final question for you, the listener. When you open up that app, when you use that recommendation engine, are you really looking for the most satisfying version of the you that already exists? Or are you, maybe without even realizing it, giving up the chance to discover the you that could be?